Greetings. I was just sitting here in my parlor today, looking at this deck that I had used last year at Samhain for I used it for a fundraiser for a cat rescue. I told you all about it. And I had bought the deck. Remember I said I bought the deck because, it was a cat rescue and I thought the cat people would really love it. And I was expecting it just to be like, a fun little deck just for maybe an occasion. And I found that the cards read so well that I got it back out today. I'm looking for some decks that I want to use, preparing for the project that I'm following Jessica Starr, the Story Witch, along with the setting up a bullet journal for 2019. It's something completely new to me. She does it all the time, and she's been sharing her journal as of a lot of other people over the years, but it's kind of new concept to me, and I'm excited about getting in and doing it. And I'm looking at a few preparations to make, and one of them is there's some tarot things that I want to do to prepare. And I got to thinking about Samhain. The celebration of Samhain for us is over. The Sabbath, celebrating the Sabbath, is over for all of us. We're now well into November, and for most people, they put Samhain behind. They just tuck Samhain behind them. And I have to say, I've said it before, that when we're talking about the Sabbaths on the wheel of the year and following the wheel of the year, a Sabbath is a season. Samhain is a season that extends from the eve of Samhain. It stays Samhain until it becomes Yule. Now I understand that a lot of people like to do a lot of preparations for Yule because a lot of people will celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or something else as well. And I recognize, just as a lot of us witches like to get a little head start jumping on getting ready for Samhain because it's a really big deal for most of us witches. So we tend to jump it a little ahead of time and prep for it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I do that too. I do it too. But what I'm here to talk to you about today is making sure you see the Sabbath through. Making sure you see the Sabbath through. We're not hopping around the wheel willy-nilly. We're not rabbits hopping around. We are walking the wheel. We are planting one foot in front of the other and walking slowly as the wheel turns, as the seasons change from one to another to another. And it's my opinion, in my old age, that we need to see the Sabbath through. We need to feel the energies in order to be ready to prepare for the next season to come, the next Sabbath to come. We need to feel our way through the Sabbath that we are in. Now, Samhain is the witch's new year, and it's also, but I want to say, it is also known as the final harvest. Okay, the first harvest being Lammas in August, the second harvest being Mabon at the equinox, and the third harvest being Samhain. Okay, and we're not just talking. I know when I say the word harvest, most of us tend to go and talk about things in the garden, and for me that's very important too, because that's a big part of my life, and I have been harvesting. I just am completing some of my harvesting right now of the crops that I had from the summer. I've moved into the pickling stage. I'm just about all pickled. And I'm getting ready to get some winter crops put in for the winter. But when we talk about harvesting the seeds of Samhain, we're not talking about, and that's what I want to talk about today, harvesting the seeds at Samhain. We're not talking about crops, even though, yes, I am saving seeds right now. I have quite a few. As I let my beans dry from the summer, as I let my Melons dry. I just ate one of the maybe the very last. I think I maybe have a couple more little tiny ones. Cantaloupes from the season. Saving those seeds, drying them out, getting them ready to store in order to plant for next year. That's a really important part of being a gardener. About being a gardener. But what about the seeds that we sow in the rest of our lives? What about collecting the seeds from what we have planted during the rest of the year? That's what I want to talk to you about today. In the United States, in a few weeks, it's going to be Thanksgiving. And everybody knows about Thanksgiving, probably whether you celebrate it or not. You're probably familiar with it. And so it is based on the idea, if you believe it to be true or false, is not important, but it is the idea that when the first pilgrims came to this country in the 17th century, they were so ill-equipped to survive, that most of them died the very first winter. I wouldn't say most, I think over half of the ones who came died the very first winter. I might be mistaken, this isn't a history class, so, don't quote me, but I know a lot of people died. And, they learned some very hard lessons about what they needed to do to survive. Some of the lessons, this story goes, was taught to them by the natives who lived here. How to plant some of the things, what kind of plants they needed, etc. How to serve, whatever they needed to do to survive the climates here. And then, of course, they were so grateful, finally, when they did have a harvest the following year. They did have a bit of a harvest that they celebrated. Whether they celebrated or not is not that terribly important. What they had was not terribly important. But you understand the concept. If you've been through a very bad time, when you finally do get to have the fruits of your labor, you finally have a success, what that celebration feels like. Okay, so that's the spirit that we have in our American Thanksgiving holiday. The idea that it is a time to pause and count our blessings and be thankful for what it is that we have. And it usually involves celebrations with family, celebrations with friends, celebrations over food, a lot of family favorites, little dishes, etc. And in our particular family, and I think in a lot of other families too, we have a tradition where we go around the table at one point during the Thanksgiving dinner and we take turns saying what it is we are thankful for. Now, the reason I bring that up is I'm 66 years old and I've been doing this my entire life, even with my family. When I was a child, we did this at Thanksgiving time. And I want to tell you that it seems like every Thanksgiving, when the blessings come around the table, I find myself in a little bit of a panic going, oh, wait a minute, wait, I forgot to think about what I might be thankful for. What am I going to say? And I'm looking and it's getting closer and closer to becoming my turn and I'm still not exactly sure. So I usually end up mumbling something like, oh, I'm thankful for my family, I'm thankful for health, I'm thankful for, my children are here with me, and which of course I really am. But the point I'm trying to make is I'm not really giving it much thought. And afterwards, I can think of a lot more things that I'm thankful for. What set this year aside from other years? And I think that's what I was looking for. So I was giving some thought to Samhain, and I was giving some thought to Samhain being the final harvest. And I was thinking, this is a perfect time for all of us, whether you celebrate Thanksgiving or not, it doesn't matter. But it is the final harvest for all of us who are on the calendar that we're on in the Northern Hemisphere. And we are celebrating, we are giving thanks. It's a good time to stop and think about what kind of seeds would you be collecting from your life garden. What kind of seeds would you be collecting from your life garden? This is a really perfect opportunity to stop and think of what it is that I would be harvesting. Okay? Now, this is where I'm putting this together with the fact that I'm going to have a bullet journal, because I'm thinking, oh, how easy it's going to be next year. Because I'm going to be able to go through my year's journal by the end of 2019. I'm going to be able to go through my journal and remember some of the things that happened to me during 2018. Maybe some of the small things that seemed so small and insignificant at the time, but turned out to be really important to me in one way or another. Now, I don't have my bullet journal right now, and some of you are not going to have a bullet journal, but you can still do the simple exercise, which I wish you would stop before you go jumping in, just ripping your Samhain altar apart and putting up your Yule altar, which I know everybody's dying to do. I wish you would take a few weeks. Go to, at least try to get close to the end of the month if you can. I always try to wait till December 1st before I really jump into Yule at all. And that gives us a chance to sit and contemplate at this time of the year about the seeds that we have saved from our year, the seeds that we collected as Samhain from the year. And if you don't have a bullet journal, or you don't have a diary, you don't have those kind of things, it's okay. You can still think, what is a good way to try to recall? Well, sometimes, yes, you can recall life events for your family. You can start with your family, or life events with your close friends. And then, well, yes, like my daughter this year, y'all know, my daughter graduated from medical school. She became a doctor of physical therapy, and we are so proud of her. It was a very, very long event for her, a very long, lot of effort for her to do, and her brand new husband of a year, just not quite a year ago, so gave her great support, and of course we're all thankful for that. We're thankful, I'm looking through my other children, and they have their health and their successes, and they both have recognized, great recognitions in their careers, and my grandson is, on his way to just become a fine young man, and he's found love, and, a lot of things, I could look at personal things. I could look at events. What kind of events did I go to? We're in the SCA. I can think of, what about the camping events? What did I get out of the big major camping events this year? They always have some kind of an atmosphere to them, Sometimes they're very stressful. Sometimes the weather is hard or whatever. And I'm looking this year, we had Australia War in February, and that's where we went to Phoenix, and a few of us, and spent time with my daughter and her husband and their friends there, and camped with them, and the freezing cold that we had. But what the wonderful memories were there that I have some good memories from, and Great Western War we just had here in October, and I can look at that and say how thankful some of us were that we had made the decision and agreed that we weren't going to spread ourselves too thin and try to do too much at that camping event, and just do the things we really love to do, and how lovely it was. What a lovely time we had, and the beautiful weather we had, and some of the great changes that were made in our camping experience there. I can look at those kind of things. I can look at the new friends that I'm making through the coven that, my husband and I told you we're going to initiate with a coven here, and just some wonderful friends that we're making in that. So, and spiritually, how are we growing spiritually? What is our health? We have health insurance right now because we have Medicare, and my husband has some issues, physical issues with his his body right now is not cooperating too well. He's healthy enough. His body is just a little broken, and but he's getting the care he needs. So there's some good things to be thankful for there. Do you see what I'm talking about? I'm talking about, I don't want to give you all of my personal business, but I want to say categorically go through your own life, spend a little time over the next few weeks, and think about what it is that your year had for you. What did the year provide you with? And give some time to contemplate that, because whatever happens to us this year, whatever seeds that we save from this year will be planted for next. That's going to determine our next year. Whether we have a good crop or not a good crop next year in our life is going to depend on any lessons. Did we learn any valuable lessons? I learned a few very, very valuable lessons that I'm not going to soon forget, and those seeds are going to be planted very firmly into my new year when I plan that. I will tell you that. What people do I want to hold on to? that have given me so much this year. What do I want to make sure that give time to those people next year, that really save time for the people that have given me so much this year. What do I want to do for my pets? What do I want to do, for my husband? How are we doing with our relationship on being retired instead of, two retired people living in one house and two other people, two very active working people or whatever? It's a little bit of an adjustment, how are we doing with that? What kind of seeds did we gather from this year together that we want to save for next? Some of the seeds we do not want to save. Some of the plants that we have grown in our lives are, figuratively speaking, some of the seeds of the plants that we have grown in the garden of our life, they're going in the compost pile. They're going to get torn out. They're going to get thrown out with the weeds. We're going to let those go ahead and decompose. And maybe those will turn into something a little better. But there's some very precious things, some very precious flowers, some very precious plants that grew in our lives that we want to save those seeds and be sure that they hold a very firm place, that they're planted firmly and tended well in 2019. I'm just asking you to give a little bit of pause before you jump in to the Yule season and give Samhain its due. Okay, Samhain is not all about trick or treat, jack-o'-lanterns, talking to the dead. The dead are going to follow us. The dead are going to be around. This time of the year, the veil is thin. It's not just for one day. They're still here. We can still do our shadow work. There's a lot of things we can still do. But also we can count our blessings. If it helps you to use some form of divination to remember or to look at what kind of lessons that you might have forgotten that you want to carry through, you can do some simple threads with your tarot cards, some simple spreads with your tarot cards. You can use runes. You can use anything you want. But just sitting and talking, and listening to your year. If you have an iPhone, you probably have thousands of pictures on here. You probably have thousands of pictures. Or look through Facebook. Go down and look through your wall on Facebook at all of the things that you took part in. Okay? Do what it takes to take and check out the seeds that you have sown. The seeds that you have produced, I should say, from your garden at Samhain, from the final harvest, and hold them in your heart for 2019. That's all I wanted to say. I wish you blessings. Thanks for watching.